Right. Welcome back. Let me get right for a second. Okay. Get my chain on. Got my piece. Okay. Hold on. Why is this backwards? Hold on. Make sure it's right. All right. So let's get right to it. This is Aaron Terrell. Welcome back to Dissect the Dialogue, episode 103. How's everybody's week been? Hope everything's been good. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm on all platforms you can think about: YouTube, X, Apple, Spotify, all that. All right. Now to get down to the gritty details. Um, First of all, can I just say that debate was atrocious? It was like looking at Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy argue for like however long. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I didn't care. But it was just like watching paint dry. That's basically how I seen it. It was like watching paint dry. It was just hearing two senior citizens just yell nonsensical crap, and then they had some good points. And by day, I mean Trump. Uh, what do you mean? What did you say about black jobs? No, I'm not even gonna go into that because I know what y'all gonna think. I know what everybody's gonna think about. Oh, black jobs and this and that and the third. He said expanded jobs. He said other jobs. People are picking and choosing. I'm not gonna get to that. That's not the main focus. But it were some events that happened, so of course I'll mention it. Um, when is Joe Biden's funeral? And also, how are they gonna be able to work on the as far as like next election, so on and so forth? Because I don't know, it just seems like they keep having this pattern of having these old senile candidates that's just running in office, which I don't understand. Makes no sense to me. Doesn't quite tickle my fancy, as they say. It's atrocious because people don't even notice the average age to be elected for president or to run for president is a runner elected uh, is 35. People don't even know that. You got to be 35 and you have to be in the states at least 14 years. I've not seen all the presidents that I've seen growing up look like they have passed death every time. And I think like who was the youngest? I'm trying to think who. I think the youngest president was Theodore Roosevelt, and I think because McKinley before him got killed. Oh, I'm sorry, assassinated. Because I can't make sure I can't say certain words on here. He was assassinated. That's not a terrible word. And I think um, no, it was Kennedy, right? Yeah, it was Kennedy. Kennedy was the one that got elected. So yeah, that's pretty much all that. Yes, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think like the average. I'm probably rounding. I'm doing black math, but I think the median age that a president has been like 55. So around it 60. So yeah, need to be retired. Too goddamn old to be running, but I noticed that the people that runs the country, mind you, the president is just the executive position for those that know social studies, that there's three branches: legislative, executive, judicial. Legislative are actually the ones that have the real power because they make change, do whatever to the rules. Was it judicial carries it out, and executive pushes the button, probably going out of sequence. But I get my point. That's not the topic. Well, some of the topic. But anyway, get off of that. So this is what I really wanted to discuss. Now, as far as pop culture goes, everybody's favorite it girl for some odd reason, Sexy Red, her latest project sold 28,000 copies. I'm going to say it again, just for the people that didn't hear. 28,000 copies. first week. This is a person that has crazy radio play, was on WWE a few weeks ago, has some fan base, and her first week sales is 28,000. And this is with a is she on the label? Is she on the label? I don't know. Let's just say the fact. She's getting radio play, so she has some label backing. Let's just say that. I don't know what label she's on. She might be on a label. I forget. But 28,000 copies, and I think Jermaine Dupri got a. I think Jermaine Dupri. Get it sexy. I can't stand her. I can't stand it. It's just like it's nothing wrong with that type of music. Don't get me wrong. Like I grew up on that type of music, but I grew up listening to other types. And I think the problem is what's going on is, and I don't want to sound kind of one-sided, but that type of music is being constantly like when I was listening to the radio, right? As a kid listening to the radio, all types of music, all types of frequencies, whatever was being played. It wasn't just one type where it was just ratchet, ratchet, ratchet all over. It was a mixture. Now it's like you damn near gotta wear condoms on your ears because the shit's so nasty. But yeah, so Sexy Red 20,000. Oh yeah, so Jermaine Dupri, legend of the game, discovered Bow Wow, Criss Cross. Well, discovered Criss Cross, made Bow Wow in a way, kind of put him on the map. Let's be honest. Escape, kind of responsible for propelling Usher's career, helping Mariah Carey revive her career along with Anthony Hamilton. He has a stamp. So if there's anybody I would trust with, experience, it'll be that guy. So he was just saying how the music, he was basically just saying the industry's pretty much trash because of, and let me just, for purposes, make sure I'm not interrupting anything. Make sure I get this right. I think Sexy Red has 28, what was it, 28,000? Yeah, give me 1 second. Make sure I get this right. Yeah, I think Sexy Red has like 28,000 copies. Y'all give me 1 second. Something just stopped. I knew I shouldn't have did that. Let me add this real quick. Yeah, I think like Sexy Red had like 28,000. Jermaine Dupri was like saying, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get. Yeah, I was looking at her followers. I think she has like 4 million followers. One of my Spotify just stopped recording. But yeah, she has like 4 million followers. And I was just thinking to myself, 4 million followers, 28,000 copies, 40 million people streaming, 1,500 streams is considered an album sale. Math ain't mathing, as they say. So I say this to say this. Is there hypocrisy in hip hop culture? The reason why I say that because at times, especially with the disconnect with the hip hop generation, you have a lot of people that are kind of mixed feelings with everything. So let's just take a breakdown. Now, hip hop, as most people know, started in the 70s. It was a mixture of Black Americans, Caribbeans, based up in Bronx, that the genre started off as anti-drug and anti-violence. That's how it started. They were basically making music to go against the negativity that was affecting their neighborhoods and their environments. Kind of like poetry in, beats and rhymes, in a sense, is how it started. You had, Kool Herc was the originator of it. For those that don't know, DJ Kool Herc came up with the concept of it. As far as like I said, the lyrics, like I said, very anti-establishment, almost in a punk way, very, very punk. anti-establishment, and as far as the instrumentation was, you know, we because in those neighborhoods, not a lot of instruments, not a lot of instrumentation. So how the music came up was recreating old sounds that they heard from their parents and grandparents, using break beats or loops that and incorporating that, and that became the sound. Then that came up, I'll just fast forward with Sugar Hill Gang and uh, Spoonie G, all those guys, Grandmaster Flash, Mel and Mel. Then decades later, it started to be a switch with the 80s. Now, the 80s, it was a little bit different. Still kind of kept that same feeling of, you know, that edge, but started to get a little bit dicey. Like you had like your Slick Ricks, you had your your Big Daddy Kanes, you had all those guys, your Rakims. But then around like the late 80s, you started getting another form of rap that was edgy, controversial, sometimes could be a little over the top, incorporating very profane language, obscenities, you know. When the Ice T's came around and the NWAs, that's when hip hop started to get a little change where rappers were, call it like hood journalism, where they're talking about the stuff that was going on in their environment, what they say. Now, then it gets a little bit crazier because then a decade after that, when you got guys like a Tupac, Biggie, Mob Deep, Wu Tang, they start to incorporate more violent lyrics in their music, some going to darker subjects, some that at times sound like they're speaking against their neighborhood, talking about the stuff, but in other times almost incorporating it in a sense. Mind you, this is all like in a few decades that I'm mentioning this. So then you have that going on, starts getting more popular, starts getting more commercial. Then fast forward 2000s, 2010s, y'all know the rest. This is my problem with hip hop in general. Make sure I don't interrupt my recording again. I think I just messed up one of my recordings on here. Uh, Now, for those that know, I always say my age. I'm born in '97. Uh, I grew up when when's a good time I could say I grew up when hip hop was. I grew up in a time when hip hop was on its way to becoming the top tier genre. Because I don't think hip hop had its moments when it was getting up there. That it where it got big. That you had big names, but I think rock and like pop and country was still beating in some instances. When I was coming up and how I grew with hip hop, it was coming to a point where it was starting to kind of get a buzz. Started to get more diverse. Started to incorporate. You know, it was innovating. It was breaking sounds. But this is my problem with hip hop culture. Hip hop, like I said, was a was a genre, was a culture about going against the establishment. It was anti-drug, anti-criminal, anti-war. That's how it started. And as far as the music goes, music was traditionally recreating old sounds from the past and making it new. That's what I grew up with. The problem is you have, especially nowadays, with the music that's being made, your average hip hop listener wants to listen to music that is either low vibrational, very violent, very misogynistic, and in a way, very self-hating. I find it funny. Like a lot of people always want to say. Some people say like, "Who was a Lord Jamar? Oh, white rappers are guests, and they have past where they're saying racist stuff and blah blah blah." Like, okay, I get it. Yeah, white rappers, and they weren't responsible for the creation of, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. But when you look at how these rappers, what they say in their songs, you almost would have thought that they had a white person's mind. Because last time I checked, all the times I hear them rapping, especially those ones that like being edgy and all that, it's always 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure it's about them killing another person that looks like them, looks like this. So I don't really believe the hype or the outrage per se when I hear that. Oh, they're being. It's kind of like somebody that I knew was hyping up. What was it? Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon was. Nick Cannon was when he was doing those lame disses, and he got a clip of Eminem when he was younger saying, black girls are bitches, black girls are dumb, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm looking at that person listening to it. I'm like, you can't be really gassing this shit up, right? You really think this is good? But I don't. I think he thought it was. I don't think he thought it was good. I don't think he thought it was good because of how it sounded. I think thought he had to like make a stance. Like it's this like unwritten code that us as a people have. Like I don't know. We gatekeep a lot of weird stuff. For a group that claims to be so oppressed and so disenfranchised, we gatekeep a lot of stuff. Yeah, we don't have the funds to do this, that, and the third, but you have those same funds to splurge on getting Jordans and jewelry and Hellcats. It doesn't make any sense. So it's like a genre that was based on anti-establishment, anti-drug, anti-war is now they now like music that incorporates the stuff it was against. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to say that they don't like being painted as violent, you know, animalistic criminals, but they listen to music like that, and not only listen to it heavily, become engulfed with it. They become programmed to what they're listening to. Well, yeah, I mean, no one says anything about white criminals or whatever communities. Why is it always us? Because we broadcast it all the goddamn time. It's kind of like we promote our own ignorance. I don't think white criminals promote their own ignorance. I don't think that's even a thing. I don't think Asian criminals like you never see Jew. Oh, make sure I say the right words. People from the Israel or something. I don't know. I'm gonna just cover it up. People in those communities or like Asian communities. You think they're broadcasting themselves killing somebody? I'm gonna just say it. You think they're broadcasting people killing somebody on IG or they're recording a death? You think these other communities are doing that? No. It's only, people that look like me, black folk, be honest, that's doing that. And I don't care if I sound like whatever, it's true. Who else is broadcasting themselves doing criminal activities? But oh, white kids carry guns at school too. They always like saying that cop out. I'm not saying that that's not true, but I'm saying is it's kind of like we bring it on ourselves because we have too much time on our hands. We want to take snapshots of everything. We always want to broadcast stuff. Now, as far as the generation gap and the generation beef, is there an attack on the youth? I think there's. I think you know it's been like a worldwide thing. Like even before my parents, my grandparents, I think it's always been a thing with an attack on the youth. They want to try to shape the youth into being the next adults, old people that make these laws, break the laws, or whatever. I think there's always been somewhat an attack on the younger generation. How you think, you know, they plan out these things for every generation? It's like every 100 years they plan on the next step with every generation. That's why you hear certain generations have similar patterns where they grew up doing this, and then this generation had patterns of doing that, and so on and so forth. It's set in stone. It's like they're like the people above us somehow are like playing 4D chess on us, and we don't even know what's going on. And I think with music they may have this, but of course when it comes to you know colored folk, as they say, they I think like I said, it's like a mixture. It's like yeah, it's put more on us, but at the same time we kind of like I said we broadcast ourselves. So I don't want to say it's just the powers above, the powers that be that did it. I can't just say that, because then I'll be lying to myself. I don't want to say that. I don't want to make that as like a cop out. You know what I mean? But I do think it is a crazy, crazy coincidence that you know that we're put like the goalpost is being moved basically when it comes to that. Now, I remember who was it? Jermaine Dupri was saying this, and this is another thing that kind of makes it hypocritical with the hip hop culture and people that listen that is engulfed into it. Um, I think when Jermaine Dupri was on IG Live, he was saying something about sales because with Sexy Red selling 20,000, and someone was responding, "Well, this generation isn't an album generation. It's a singles generation. It's all about who has the hottest single. Then why make albums? Why make albums? Because in order for you to get a strong following, this is where the argument collapsed. Okay, it's a single. Nobody buys albums, or nobody. No, let me rewind it. Nobody cares about albums. Okay, so why do these hip hop channels? Anytime a person comes out with a project, they have to grade their album's first week sales if no one cares about albums. It doesn't make any like it doesn't make any sense. That's how the argument collapsed on itself. And then the thing that gets me upset is that you know they grade these artists on sales, but then these fake hip hop enthusiasts, all these albums that they put on like Mount Rushmores weren't big on sales the first week. Nas's first album wasn't great because of how much it sold. It got better within time. Jay-Z's first album wasn't big when it came out. It grew, it matured within time. Now, of course, you have your rare instance where you're like Snoop Dogg or 50, but you know, Kendrick's album is being discussed in what was it? Tip of a Butterfly is being talked about in colleges by college professors. I don't think they're worried about. I don't think they're trying to dissect Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg in their schools. That's the point I'm trying to make. But if we're going by sales, right? If we're going by sales, then Vanilla Ice would be the greatest, or MC Hammer would be the greatest rapper alive. When that's not even true. So I say the sales matter over impact. And this is what I say to this. it is good. It's great that that if an album you know sells pretty well, it's good that the impact should match. You know what I mean? Like the sales should blend with the impact. It should be like if we're gonna play that card. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes the stuff that doesn't really sell, but within time it grows, there's the impact. Or maybe an artist that's just good for the moment, maybe good for the moment, may have a big impact as far as like image, but the sales is trash. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when I hear people say sales over impact or impact over sales, I think it just depends on who the artist is. Not everybody. I think it's gonna be. We're all gonna be dead and gone before there's another Michael Jackson. I mean, guys like that are like Prince or like just saying Elvis or Hendrix or the Beatles or Ray Charles. Like guys like that. It's gonna be a lifetime before they're even gonna have guys like that. But the reason why they were so big because of their impact. Like I said, Michael Jackson at first, when he was starting solo, you think his first album did big? No, he had to wait till he was like, because mind you, you've been in the game since he was like 6. It took him like, so in a way, it took him like years for him to make a off the wall a Thriller. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like people assume that if your sales is a certain way, then it doesn't really mean anything. You got to have this much amount of which, and then it gets dicey because when like what happens if they die then? Well, that just adds another point to my argument. Sometimes when people die, they want to act like their impact matters now. And that's another thing I have a problem with hip hop as a whole. You want to wait till someone is dead to appreciate their greatness. And that's another thing I hate because hip hop was always about being different, being innovative. Even another point to my why isn't that hip hop a genre and a culture that was all about being innovative, being different? Yes, 2 by 2, and very rare, Biggie, very rare. Well, I mean Biggie. Well, let me scratch out Biggie because he did have a short amount of body, but he had that short amount of body of work, but it was still the impact. So I guess it still kind of fits. And also the dead thing too. I said also the dead thing. But what was my point? Oh yeah. Problem with this generation is they wait till someone dies to appreciate them. And I think that's terrible. And I think it sucks that that's not only has that become a normal thing, but I think in hip hop, yeah, XXX too, for sure. I think that's become a normal thing to where, you know, if someone because I can't remember. Of course, I wasn't born when Tupac died, and I was barely even realizing what life was when Biggie died. But as far as like watching stars get a buzz and then have it stripped from them, like I saw the fast career of XXX. I saw that. I seen what happened. I was there. I was there when they were looking at him weird, and it was kind of, I don't know about him. He looked evil. He did this, that, and the third. I mean, if he did some, dark stuff, that's none of my business. But then I seen when he got, you know, assassinated. All of a sudden, crazy praise. Why is that normal? Why is that a thing? Why do we appreciate dead artists more than ones that's alive? And why do we appreciate negative energy than positive? Where do I think hip hop is? I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love hip hop. I grew up appreciating it. You know, it's kind of one of those things where I can't recall what made me, fall in love with it, but I know that it's been a part of my life for a good part. I'll say that, you know, either that and maybe, new metal was kind of like my childhood, like kind of that 2000s vibe hip hop along with like new metal a little bit and a splash of R&B. That's pretty much like my makeup as far as music goes. But I just want hip hop to go back to a place where it's fun, that it's innovative, it's creative, and I think that you know we got to do better as far as appreciating the culture that was actually uplifting at first and actually meant something. And yeah, I think X was. I think a lot of times when people don't understand nobody, they're quick to judge them. I think X was one of those guys because when I first saw him, I just, not because I know you Aquarius, we're known to be weirdos, but I just knew that, in a good way, I knew he was gonna bring something to the table as far as music goes. But I just wish that he get redemption for his early demise and just keep going from there. But yeah, that's all my take on it. Let me know what y'all think. Is there hypocrisy in hip hop culture? What's going on with it? Yes, Aquarius is we're the misunderstood geniuses. Yes, we are. But anyway, uh, yeah. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. I'll probably put some questions in my Spotify, whatever. I almost messed up my Spotify. I almost had to restart this whole thing, but I should be all set. But that's all. Until then, appreciate it. Check out again. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.